Wrestling here at ringside. This is Vince McMahon standing alongside wrestling great Pat Patterson. We're here this week, Pat. We'll take a look at a newcomer. What do you know about Jesse the Body Ventura?
Well, he likes to be called Jesse the Body Ventura because he does have a very good body, and I've seen better in wrestling, but he claims that he has the best body in wrestling. Very powerful man, very big man, but there's something a little weird about Jesse Ventura, and I'll let you be the judge.
All right. Speaking of the unusual, we have with us, no question about it, the greatest professional athlete of all time, and no doubt one, if not the largest. Joining us, a real pleasure to have with us a great friend of yours, Andre the Giant.
Well, it's always a treat to watch Andre in the ring because he is, like you says, one of the greatest stars in wrestling today. And Andre is in better shape than he ever did. He feels great ever since he had his foot broken, and it's going to be a thrill to see him again.
We shall also have with us the likes of Pedro Morales, along with many others, including the magnificent Morocco. And we shall begin the festivities when we return with more of All-Star Wrestling. Discretionary viewer participation is advised for the following pro wrestling exhibition.
Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to another action-packed card of All-Star Wrestling promoted by Phil Zacco. These matches are sanctioned and supervised by the State Athletic Commission. J.J. Binns is the commissioner. Chief deputies in attendance are Peter Lash and Tommy Malandra. Timekeeper at the bell, Charlie Daniels. The attending physician is Dr. Eugene Gottfried. The referees assigned by the State Athletic Commission, Dick Worley, John Stanley, Victor Quinones, and Freddie Sparta. And I'm your ring announcer for All-Star Wrestling, Gary Michael Capetta. Wrestling fans, the first event set for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first the manager. He's the manager of champions, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling. And now the participants. In the corner to my right, 234 pounds from China, Li Wang. His opponent, weighing 249 pounds, from Sunset Beach, Hawaii, he is the current Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, the magnificent Morocco.
Here you hear the round of boos with this another capacity crowd filing in now. Morocco not well liked, not appreciated, and the Grand Wizard, no doubt, his greatest, if not his only fan. The Grand Wizard with that most unusual garb, gaudy to say the least, a pat on the back, a bit of consultation, and in a moment, Morocco will be ready to wrestle. Well, Mr. Morocco apparently not too anxious to lock up with Li Wang, objecting to the chants by the fans. The chant specifically, beach bum.
You know, Vince, so far Morocco being undefeated as a champion.
Wow. Look at the way he's handling Li Wang. Off balance in the top rope, as you were saying, Pat.
Well, so far Morocco has been undefeated as a champion, and he says no one in wrestling can beat him, take the belt away from him, and actually that he's getting bored.
Well, I think Mr. Morocco has been known to stretch the truth from time to time, and I'd suspect that statement would fall into that category.
Vince, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen the Grand Wizard without that fez or that turban that he wears on his head and without the glasses?
No, the Grand Wizard is a very mysterious individual. Almost every time I've seen him, he's had some fashion of glasses on and some sort of hairpiece or whatever you'd call that. I don't know.
Well, I can assure you one thing. I've seen him without the turban and without
What's
the
he look
glasses.
like?
Well, actually, he looks better with a turban and the glasses on.
There's the Wizard. Say what you will about him, though. He was introduced as the manager of champions, and he has been just that.
Well, I have a certain feeling towards him, a bad feeling, but I must admit that he is a good manager in a certain way.
Look at that pile driver executed to perfection. Lights out for Lee Wong.
There's no questions about it, Vince, that magnificent Morocco is a great wrestler.
Smile on his face, Mr. Morocco, once again victorious, and again, the mutual embrace.
The time of the match, 2 minutes, 51 seconds. The winner, the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, the magnificent Morocco.
So the magnificent Morocco chalks up one more victory as now we take a look at the way he polished off his opposition, Lee Wong. Set him up almost with one hand with so much ease. Look at this, with so much ease. And again, you see the compression of the vertebrae, the neck down to the canvas. It's lights out for Lee Wong. And in a moment, well, let's go back up now to ringside.
Wrestling fans, the following contest is set for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing to my left, weighing 281 pounds from Gary, Indiana, Bill Dixon. His opponent, 241 pounds from Culebra, Puerto Rico, Pedro Morales. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before the start of this match, we are indeed honored this week to have with us in attendance one of the greatest wrestling champions in the history of professional wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the current World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion, Mr. Bob Backlund.
Well, there's no doubt that this is one of a kind. By Bob Backlund's own admission, he's not the strongest wrestler, not the fastest, maybe not the most agile, but I think he has more guts, more determination than anybody who ever wore the World Wrestling Federation title, and maybe that's the difference.
Without a doubt, Vince, beautiful. Two champions together, Pedro Morales and Bob Backlund. Pedro Morales, former champion. Hello, Bob. How are you, Bob? Good to see you.
All right. Thank you very much for saying hello. Bob Backlund, the World Wrestling Federation champion, and now Pedro Morales, who once held the honor that Bob Backlund now holds as World Wrestling Federation champion, is in there with individual competition. Bill Dixon, the newcomer. What do you know about Dixon?
I don't know too much about Dixon, but I know an awful lot about Pedro Morales. And in my book, Pedro is still a champion in his own way, because Pedro has been around for quite a while, has accomplished quite a bit. If you remember, Vince, about last year, Pedro Morales and Bob Backlund were tag team champions.
Yes, as a matter of fact, that's often forgotten by many pro wrestling fans, because it was the first time that anyone held the tag team honors and relinquished them on their own because they wanted to pursue individual interests. And both, I might add, have done exceedingly well on an individual basis. Bill Dixon, forearm smash to the chest, didn't have all that much behind it.
I tell you, it doesn't take very much to get Pedro Morales going. How often do we speak about Pedro being having a short temper, and believe me, he does. Very powerful man, that Pedro Morales, well experienced.
Pedro getting hot. And again, Bill Dixon goes outside.
I don't think Dixon will be able to do that too much longer, trying to run out of the ring. Eventually, Pedro will catch him up.
Morales tempted to let him have it. Morales spinning Dixon back to the corner. Little slap across the face just to let him know who's boss. Forearm didn't have that much behind it again, but when Pedro delivers that southpaw, you're going to feel it. Referee warning Morales. Morales really had a handful of whiskers there. Not by the hair of his chinny chin, right?
I must say Pedro is really respecting John Stanley's ruling. And Pedro just stopped when the referee told him
Off
to
the
stop.
rope, back over Morales. Back at him now, Morales. Just simply, well, a basic maneuver and well executed. Looks like this Bill Dixon really doesn't have much together. Pat, would you concur?
I would say he doesn't look too well experienced and doesn't look in too good of a shape or too good condition.
Morales, oh my goodness. He's going to be in less condition to continue the match after that.
I tell you, everything that Pedro Morales does, he does it very, very well. Very effective.
Pedro Morales recently vacationing in the Altoona, Pennsylvania area. He really enjoys that. Well, he enjoys so many parts of the world. Has been to so many different parts. Both competing, and well, look now, back on top of things, literally Bill Dixon. I suspect if Dixon is going to win this match, if he has any chance at all, it has to be by this fashion, because he's certainly not going to do it on wrestling skill, not considering what he's shown us so far.
Well, so far he hasn't shown anything, but I'm sure Pedro will show us something.
Shot to the midsection. Morales spins him off the rope. Another one. Pedro, well, the big boy now trying to get him over for the Boston Crab. He's there.
Look at the
Dixon
pressure
trying to hang on.
Pressure that Pedro is really applying.
So Pedro with a smile on his face chalks up another victory. So many victories for this fine competitor.
Wrestling fans, the time of the match, 4 minutes, 54 seconds, and your winner, Pedro Morales. Wrestling fans, the following attraction set for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. This is the special handicap match. Introducing the team to my right, from El Salvador, 230 pounds, Ringo. His partner, from Puerto Rico, 223 pounds, Angelo Gomez. And wrestling fans, their opponent, from Toronto, Canada, he weighs 309 pounds, King Kong Mosca.
King Kong Mosca in the handicap match. Here we go. Mr. Mosca is just going pell-mell any place he wants to go. And indeed, as he says so many times, he walks and talks and does exactly as he pleases.
Well, Vince, if someone is capable of wrestling two men, King Kong Mosca is capable of doing so.
Overhead microphone picking up Mosca's comment as he peered down on Ringo a moment ago. He said it looks just like Patterson.
Well, you know my feelings, Vince. I'd love to be in the ring at the moment.
Ringo having his problems. As a matter of fact, oh my goodness. Gomez slammed down. Oh my goodness, he almost tore the ring down. He threw him down so hard.
There's no question he is one of the most powerful men in wrestling today, one of the biggest men in wrestling.
Mosca toying around. He is just so big, so mean, so powerful.
Well, Vince, he is just plain nasty. He doesn't care for anyone. He's nasty to everyone, inside of the ring or outside of the ring. That's the kind of man Mosca is made of.
A cover 2 and 3. Through the ropes, and now there's one man left. And Mosca victorious. Barely, not finished yet. Oh my, an elbow that just crunches up Ron Ringo. Now bear in mind, this is the same referee that disqualified Mosca not that long ago when he viciously continued to attack Victor Mikado. Dick Worley disqualified Mosca. That still stands in the record book as a defeat for King Kong Mosca.
The time of the match, 2 minutes, 8 seconds, and your winner, King Kong Mosca.
Oh, he is something else. King Kong Mosca victorious in the handicap match. No problem at all.
We're now going to talk to Mr. Tony Atlas and SD Jones. SD, good to see you. Tony, you look better than ever. You must be doing a lot of working out.
Yeah, right through. Me and SD, we trained together a little bit, man.
I'm sorry, I didn't put the microphone in front of you.
Me and SD, you know, we decided to do a little bit of weight training, and we've been doing a lot of road work and stuff together since I've been in the area. I've been around SD a great deal, and we decided to do a lot of training and stuff together. You know, in this business, a professional wrestler, you know as well as yourself, Pat, you have to stay at 110% of training all the time. It's never a day off where you can say, well, I got the day off, I don't want to go to the gym, I don't have to train, but every day you're even going to have to run one day, work on the mat, or even lift weights. And me and SD, we begin to find out what it means to be a professional wrestler by all the training that is involved in being a wrestler. That to have yourself in the best of condition in order just to hang in there, you got to be in the best condition, and to become champion, you got to be in excellent condition. I guess to be a professional wrestler, you have to not only have the knowledge of professional wrestling, you have to be strong, you have to have stamina, endurance, and you also have to have a strong man, because sometimes you go in there, if you ain't got enough confidence or you're a little bit overconfidence in yourself, it could cause you to lose a match. And me and SD, we just gonna keep on training and hope for the best in the near future.
Very well said, Tony. And one thing that the fans don't really know is that we have a new team here, to SD Jones and Tony Atlas. And how this all come about?
Pat, it's a pleasure to be with this man. You know, we get down together, we sit back, we rap, we chat, we watch films together, we run, we train, we put our things together. I've had many tag team partners before, but until now, this man is the greatest one ever came close to me. I'm doing a lot of weights on the bench, I'm running more. He just talked to me, he says, come on, brother, we're going to do it. Someday we're going to get to the top, and I'm staying with the man, and I promise you, I'm going to go with this man all the way.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you two are at the top. And one thing I must say, you know, forming a team is one thing, but what's very important, being a good team is to be friends outside of the ring, not only in the ring. And I know for a fact that you two are very, very good friends outside of the ring.
We are very close, Pat. We're very close. We like the same things, the same sport. We get along very well, inside, outside. Anywhere we go together, they ask about me. He tells them about me. They ask me about him. I tell them about him. And the fans are looking forward to see both of us together. And believe me, we are very tight, and we're going to try our best very, very hard to stay together.
Well, every time a good team comes along, everybody wants to destroy them. And I know for sure that somewhere along the way, Albano's famous team of Mr. Fuji and Mr. Saito will be trying to destroy you two. And what's your feeling about?
You know, they wrestled for years and years as partners, and both of them started off wrestling ever since they was little bitty kids, and they raised up under the rules of wrestling and the martial art. But I feel that if Fuji and Saito should wrestle me and SD, then we're going to give them a fight for their life. We're going to give them a fight for that belt and for the title. They are the champion. Anytime you become in an area such as this, you meet people like Fuji and Saito. You got to be on your guard all the time. I mean, you can't let them get the upper hand, because the first time they get the upper hand, they're going to hurt you. And they the kind of people that don't mind hurting you, putting you in the hospital and putting you out of professional wrestling. They're a very dangerous team, but me and SD, we prepared ourselves for all that.
Pat, what my brother is trying to say, you know, they're championship material. I must admit it. They are champions material. They got the great Captain Lou Albano. They are good athletes. I know it. They know it all. But with my man here and SD Jones, man, how sweet it is, baby. They got a problem, baby, because we are ready.
All right. Well, I'm sure, and I'm looking forward to see you two in the ring as a team. SD, you've come a long way, and I have a lot of respect for you. I've known you for many years, and you really came a long way. And having a partner like Tony Atlas, you could not ask for any better.
Thank you, Pat. You know, I've been here. I started here. I kept on going and going and never stopped. The people stayed with me, and I love them. And I'm going to make sure that I don't let you down. Myself and Tony Atlas, we both going to do our best. And I promise you, we are going to do our best for you.
Well, like I said before, two men like you in great shape, great condition, and great person to start with. I'm sure you will go right up to the top, and you make really a great success. And I want to congratulate you, and thanks for taking the time for talking with us. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
Wrestling fans, the next match set for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first the manager. Entering the ring, he's the manager of champions, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the participants. In the corner to my right, hailing from Lyndhurst, New Jersey, weighing 233 pounds, Jerry Johnson. And his opponent, from Seattle, Washington, weighing 245 pounds, he's the master of the figure 4 leg lock, Greg Valentine.
Greg Valentine, his talents not appreciated by this capacity crowd as the Grand Wizard attends to the needs of Mr. Greg Valentine. We'll have action in a moment. Valentine with his opposition, Jerry Johnson, and a clean break by Valentine. Quick go behind, quick takedown by Valentine. Boy, he really has the wrestling skill.
He sure does, Vince. He's well respected by all wrestlers. He has a style of his own, very aggressive, and he takes advantage of every opportunity there is in the ring. That's one of the things that a lot of wrestlers don't do.
Valentine with another fine takedown a moment ago with a drop toe hold.
Must admit that Greg Valentine has a lot of class, always comes in the ring with a beautiful, expensive robe, and well-dressed also outside of the ring all the time. Very classy man.
Well, he's a very wealthy young man. Valentine delivering a knee to the rib area of Jerry Johnson, who is just about Valentine's weight, maybe 10 pounds less. Valentine drives Johnson down to the canvas with a suplex. Drops the elbow into the throat area. My goodness.
Everything he does, Vince, he does it so well and deliberately.
Cover by Valentine. And just like that, it's all over. Valentine with a very impressive victory. Conspicuous by its absence, the figure 4 leg lock.
We have not seen the figure 4 leg lock. I don't know the reason why.
The time of the match, 2 minutes, 23 seconds, and your winner, Greg Valentine.
So Greg Valentine once again chalks up another victory, and once again the embrace, the Grand Wizard. But it was unusual that Valentine chose not to use the figure 4 leg lock to defeat his opposition. As now we'll take another look. What a suplex that was.
Very well
He doesn't need a
executed.
figure 4 leg lock when he can deliver a suplex like that. You just don't get up. These elbows now are punishing, no doubt of that. However, he didn't really need them. After the suplex, Valentine could have easily pinned Jerry Johnson.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest set for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing to my left, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 267 pounds, Ron Shaw. And wrestling fans, his opponent, soon to be making his way to the ring. He weighs 478 pounds, from the French Alps. Ladies and gentlemen, the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant.
My goodness, look at this. Andre looking up at Ron Shaw, who's on the second rope. That's the only way Shaw will ever be as big as Andre. Now Andre looks at him, more than eye level. Smile on the face of Andre the Giant, and here we go. Big Ron Shaw, he's a big boy, but not that big.
By the way, Vince, that was a beautiful takedown by Andre.
That was a classic, wasn't it?
It sure was. For a big man, he sure can move very well. I don't think there is an athlete in the world that travels as much as Andre the Giant. That includes football, hockey. I don't care what you are or what you do. There's no one that travels more than Andre the Giant.
Well, notwithstanding that, Pat, there is no one individual any more recognized worldwide than this man. He is, without a doubt, the greatest single attraction, sports or any otherwise, in the world today, Andre the Giant.
You know, many people call Andre the Gentle Giant because he is such a nice person to everyone, wrestling fans. He is a beautiful person.
Shaw tries it again. Whip to the ropes. Andre waits for him. Shoulder block. Forget about it. That'll crush your shoulder, chest, everything. Uh-oh. Now, Shaw in trouble. Bradshaw whipped to the buckle. And he better count his lucky stars. Andre didn't come in with a head of steam. Look at this, though. Shaw, the aggressor, attacking the facial area of Andre. Backs him to the corner.
You know what they say, Vince? No matter how big you are, when you can't see, you can't do too much.
Headbutt. Andre. Oh, God. Andre down into the chest. What a pleasure it is to have with us Andre the Giant. Boy, he is something. God only made one like Andre.
Time of the match, 2 minutes, 55 seconds. And your winner, Andre the Giant.
Andre stepping over the top rope. Another victory for Andre the Giant is Andre with a headbutt, and he's not finished there. Andre just does so many things so well. Look at that suplex. Andre on the victory. Big man, little man, whatever. Andre likely to continue his undefeated streak for some time to come. However, bear in mind, Pat, and I think you'd concur, no one, not even an Andre the Giant, can go indefinitely undefeated. At one time or another, Andre is human, and he will fall.
Oh, without a doubt, Vince. Very true what you're saying. But so far, I have never seen anyone that can really take Andre and pin him fair and square in the middle of the ring.
But you never know when it's going to happen, and one of these days it will happen.
Oh, without a doubt.
Wrestling fans, the following contest set for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. It is an Australian-style tag team match. Introducing team number 1 to my left, weighing 239 pounds from Brooklyn, New York, the unpredictable Johnny Rodz. His partner, 291 pounds from Canada, Big Moose Monroe. And their opponents, hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 244 pounds, Philadelphia's favorite son, Special Delivery Jones. His tag team partner, 251 pounds, from Roanoke, Virginia. He has earned the title of Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
So here on All-Star Wrestling, for the very first time, the combination of S.D. Jones and Tony Atlas. We have seen Johnny Rodz and his partner, Moose Monroe, in the past, teaming up.
Well, Vince, S.D. Jones and Mr. Atlas should make a fine wrestling team. As I mentioned earlier, they get along very well outside the ring. They should do very well inside of the ring also.
Rodz backing Jones into the rope. Slap across the face. Off the rope, SD, kick to the midsection by Johnny Rodz. Missing. SD tagging Tony Atlas now. And Atlas allowing Johnny Rodz to gain his footing again.
You know, Vince, it is amazing how much Tony Atlas works out, and he's got muscles popping out of everywhere, and how agile he can be in the ring. I mean, this man can really move in that ring.
Look at that takedown by Atlas. Going to work on the arms of Johnny Rodz, the left arm. Nice bridge out. That's one way to break it. Not the most sportsmanlike way to break the hold as Moose Monroe looks on.
Moose Monroe doesn't look too sure of himself. Looks like he doesn't want to get in the ring.
Atlas there exploding. Once again, SD will try his luck on Johnny Rodz. It's been a one-man effort thus far for the team of Rodz and his partner, Moose Monroe. Now Monroe comes in. Monroe close to the 300-pound mark. Atlas and Jones look like they're having fun in there this week.
Well, you know, Vince, I've noticed one thing. They do a lot of tagging in and out, and that's what a good team should be doing. And so far, I must say, I'm very impressed with both of them as a team.
Look at the extraordinary development of Tony Atlas. Trying to power his way out of this. Doing it quite easily. SD taking over right where Tony Atlas left off. Never can tell the buck by looking at the cover. Big, powerful, well, you would think he'd be powerful. Moose Monroe, 300-pounder. He's the most ineffectual of all four members in the ring.
Vince, what a contrast when you see Moose Monroe and Tony Atlas next to one another.
Almost looks like before and after. And Jones is no slouch in there. Not to take anything away from Johnny Rodz. Here he comes.
But I'm going to tell you, I have a lot of respect for Johnny Rodz, and the man, I give him credit.
Comes Rodz again. Atlas is going to get hot in a minute and throw that rule book right out the window.
Johnny Rodz, you'll never know what he's going to come up with.
I think actually Rodz and Monroe missed with that tag. It's pretty bad when you and your partner can't even tag each other. Doesn't show the greatest in coordination. Jones picking up the pace. Don't do that with Tony Atlas. Rodz whipped to the buckle, and I mean he was really whipped in there.
There's one thing I must say about Tony Atlas.
Rodz.
Maybe a beautiful man, but he has a sharp temper also.
What a slam. Atlas bringing up the pace. SD with a headbutt and a tag almost at the same time. There's another headbutt. Look at this. Blocking the maneuver there by Moose Monroe. Oh, you got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding. That's unbelievable. To pick up that tub of lard and slam him to the canvas is extraordinary. let's go to slow motion action right after our announcement.
The time of the match, 6 minutes, 41 seconds. The winners, the team of Special Delivery Jones and Tony Atlas.
Tony Atlas and S.D. Jones as a tag team combination. Your first impressions of them, Pat?
Well, Vince, I was very, very impressed. They did a lot of tagging in and out, and they really combined very well together. Very impressive. You'll see Tony Atlas here really taking his time. He wants to pick up moves.
No, see, Monroe tries to sit out on him. See, every time he tries to, it wasn't until after he gave him a shot to the midsection that he was able to pick up that big tub of lard. Look at this. Oh, my goodness.
The following match is set for one fall to the curfew. Introducing in the corner to my right, from Johnstown, Pennsylvania, he weighs 310 pounds, Mike Mahalka. And his opponent for this contest, soon to be making his way to the ring, he will be led by his manager, the Hollywood fashion plate, Classy Fred Blassie, from San Diego, California, 271 pounds, Jesse the Body Ventura.
Where is he? Where is? Uh-oh, what is that? Pat, you said this man was a bit on the strange side, but I don't think we were quite suspecting this.
Well, you haven't seen the end of it either.
Jesse the Body Ventura. It'll be interesting to see what happens when we have action. Ventura just about ready to lock up with the big man, Mike Mahalko. Big 300-pounder. And Mahalko shoved back to the ropes, so it gives you some idea of how powerful. And there's a look at some of the power. Does have a nice physique, Pat.
Does have a good body, but I've seen better, but he claims that he has the best body in wrestling, and he is the most powerful man in wrestling. This is what Jesse the Body Ventura says. Look at his hair, Vince. Blonde and purple hair.
Yes, that is like a purple halo.
I got a good one of them.
Talk about being colorful. Blonde and purple hair, black beard, blue and white tights and red trunks. There's a devastating body slam.
Mahalko has had very little effect in the way of an offensive.
You can actually see how powerful Jesse Ventura is. He's actually thrown that big man into the rope real hard. Look at this.
Look at this, setting him up for a bear hug. A 300-pounder, man. He came off that rope. Ventura stopped him. It was like Mahalko ran into a brick wall. So you have to be impressed, I would think, by the likes of this man.
The time of the match, 2 minutes, 27 seconds, and your winner, Jesse the Body Ventura.
There's a crunch. Jesse the Body Ventura does have, as we said before, very nice physique. As Ventura throws kisses to the crowd, and, well, I think Ventura was quite impressive in his first outing here. He certainly proved that he is two things: strong, and also, as you brought out, Pat, weird. He's a Anybody with a purple halo is not all there. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, more action here on All-Star Wrestling. We shall see more of Jesse Ventura, the magnificent Morocco, Tony Atlas, S.D. Jones, along with the Tag Team Championship match, Tony Garea, Rick Bartel,